Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back once again. It is I, Jay, Captain of the D-Gen Pirates, and joining me today is a very special guest, my good friend Tony, the very person who uploads these videos for you lovely people. Say hi to the people, Tony.
Hello, everybody. Of course, some of y'all have seen me on Jay's streams before. I apologize for not being on there as often, but I have my own job to deal with, and I also choose sleep over everything.
Yep, it's totally understandable, but you know what warrants Tony to come on deck and out of his, sleeping quarters on the ship? An awesome movie, and that is what we are here to discuss today. We are here to talk about Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. Oh my goodness, this movie was amazing. I don't even know where to begin.
Okay, I'll help you. Let's start by just
overall
theme.
Overall
theme of the film.
Yeah, that's a good point. So first off, I do want to say we are not gonna go beat by beat for this. Because I realize now, like, looking back at some of my old content, even though I can't really because it's all deleted, because YouTube is a dick. Thinking back to some of my old content, I used to say they were reviews, but really they were recaps. And I'm trying to steer away from just recapping the movie because I want you guys to see it. There's no point in me just telling you what happens and calling that a review.
And besides, there are a bunch of other channels that, do Easter egg hunts, like... to mention them, like Heavy Spoilers, New Rock Stars.
So we're not gonna do the beat by beat breakdown type thing.
Oh, no.
And that's not a disrespect to anybody who does it. It's a great format. And, I did it a lot. But if I'm gonna label this a review, I gotta actually give my thoughts on things and review the movie and not just recap it.
Definitely. And let's just start by just going all like the through theme of this film.
So first thing I want to talk about with that is like you said, Tony, the impact of grief. Now, as we all know, Chadwick Boseman passed away tragically earlier this year from cancer, and no one knew about it, and that death itself was a massive impact. Well, I think it was last year, actually, but yeah. Either way, like, the impact of that death was massive, and, it affected the entire, Marvel community, as well as, of course, the cast and crew involved, and, you could tell all throughout this movie that, like, that grief was palpable.
Oh, yes. And here's the crazy thing from what I've checked out on like people mentioning a few things. The theme of grief was going to be a through line of the film regardless of script changes.
Yeah.
And Namor was going to be the antagonist of the film. And here's the crazy thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that everyone not really noticing, but noticed little things, but didn't have the full picture because of who Chadwick was as a person, and didn't want to bother everybody with his condition, which, I mean, to keep something like that a bit private, I can commend.
And also, like, the thing that they said when, like, his family talked about it more, it was because he had dealt with it and beat it once, so he was so sure he could beat it a second time that he didn't even bother telling anybody this time. Because he was like, well, I beat it before, I can do it again.
But, with the time that we got Chadwick as T'Challa, it was a remarkable time. And this film actually... He was being seriously built up as the next Tony Stark, if you will, of the MCU. Mm-hmm. And with this movie, I honestly felt a lot of parallels to how in the first Spider-Man movie
since it was the first one post Endgame, like we got to see the ripples of Tony's death.
Oh, Far From Home.
Far From Home. Yeah, Far From Home, not Homecoming. My bad.
That
Yeah,
was the sequel.
yeah, Far From Home. Yeah,
That's the middle child of this new this first Spidey trilogy.
But yeah, so
I get your point.
There were a lot of like, you know, you got to see like the murals and all the tributes. And of course, like I said, you know, grief and processing your grief is a massive theme throughout the movie itself. Now, well, we're gonna start the video spoiler free, of course, and then we're gonna jump into spoiler territory.
Like the particulars of how grief affected all of these characters.
And like, of course, Shuri is the main character because, the main cast is all the surviving members of the royal family and the inner circle of the Wakandan royal family.
Here's the way I describe, the way I see, like, who is the central focus character of this film. Like you said, it is the royal family, but more so the dynamic of Queen
Ramonda and Shuri, yeah, for sure. That definitely takes center stage.
That is the central. That's the central focus that we have.
And I have to say, man, first of all, Angela Bassett is jacked. Did you see her shoulders? She is toned, bro. She is fit.
And here's something that's crazy to me.
What?
That her performance in this film, perfection.
Honestly, it was so moving. I loved seeing her.
Never seen a performance like that, really, in a recent MCU property.
Oh yeah, no, she commanded a presence. Like, you know, the first movie does a good job of showing like the regality and elegance of Queen Ramonda, but this movie shows her power, her presence. There is a reason she is loved, respected, and feared in Wakanda and outside of it. Like, holy shit, she really brings it home.
You know, like an interesting parallel that I want to make in the more spoiler stuff, because I think I've thought about it more, and this parallel that I'm going to make is a very interesting, by comparison, sort of parallel.
Okay.
With real life circumstances.
Interesting, but yeah, but Shuri is the main character of the film, and it mostly centers around her journey and her processing of grief. One thing that I really enjoy about the movie is it just focuses on Shuri. It doesn't harp on trying to fill the empty space of T'Challa. Like, M'Baku is there, and M'Baku plays a very good big brother-like role to Shuri, but he is not stepping in to be like, I'm your big brother now. He's just, hey, I'm here if you need me. You know, I'm gonna be off doing my own thing, but, you know, I'll be here for you. And that's the thing I like about M'Baku in the MCU. In the comics, he's just a kind of like big brute villain. In the MCU, he is more of T'Challa's rival. You know, a lot of my audience are big anime fans, right? So to give you guys a good comparison, he's the shonen rival to T'Challa, right? Like the Goku Vegeta type thing.
Think of it this way: M'Baku in the comics, he is pretty much a one-note, my god is better than your god, I will show you by a test of strength kind of villain.
Yeah.
And that kind of leaves actors in the MCU as a whole a little bit more wiggle room to play with characterization. And I liked M'Baku and how comedic he was in the first film, but in this film, he showed a lot of
depth.
Respect. He has
depth. Honor. He's also like, everybody underestimates him because he's this big brute, ooga booga, ooh ooh ooh, punch 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 type of character, but like he
But
actually steps up in the council meeting and is like and offers really good wisdom that proves. And he even says, "What you think? Because we live out in the mountains, that we don't have access to books?
yeah,
I know what's going on, motherfuckers.
but
Yeah,
like
yeah, I like to punch things, but I'm not dumb."
here it with that line in particular, I was like, oh my god, that is fucking brilliant.
Like, I really like how they flesh out M'Baku as a character
Oh
without
yeah.
trying to force him into being Shuri's big brother unnaturally.
Oh,
He's just like a friend and a confidant, which is, that's what everyone needs when going through something like this. And
hmm
the one thing I will say for sure, if you yourself have gone through a loss recently, or have experienced loss at all, there will definitely be big parts of this where you will relate a lot to it for sure, because like I said, the whole movie itself is about grief and processing your grief.
And
It's really well done in that
I give it
regard.
I gotta give it to the director. He did once again a phenomenal job.
Yep.
Just with this cast, the everything, even down to cinematography, everything.
Oh yeah. And I
Gorgeous.
and also I love the score for this movie. It has such a cultural blend to it. It's phenomenal. I am going to download that album ASAP. Like,
Oh,
no
and
question.
but look, dude, here's something that just blows me away. Well, you know me very well, Jay.
Hmm.
Someone who loves understanding the histories and mythologies of various cultures by just experiencing that culture to
Yep.
learn about it.
Yep. I think
Both
they did
culture,
a really
both
good, yeah, they did a really good job of both. My bad. I didn't mean to.
it's just it's so fascinating to me. I was looking at this just with
Yeah.
in in amazement. I was
Like,
like, well, hot damn,
yeah, no,
yeah, maybe we should do shit like
it
that.
really blew me away, because like, all right, so this is not a spoiler, because he's been included in all the marketing, and we already talked about it.
Mhm.
Obviously Namor is the main antagonist of the film. We're gonna talk all about Namor in this spoiler section, but one thing I want to say just off bat, I am a huge Fantastic Four fan. I absolutely adore the Fantastic Four. However, Namor is a character I have always been indifferent to. Namor just kind of exists. He's a dick just because. The
And
MCU version of Namor, they gave him a because.
yeah, definitely. And I like the and I like because here's something that just amazes me, right, Jay?
Okay.
They didn't want to do. Marvel played it smart. They didn't want to copy what DC is doing with Arthur and that
Yeah,
version of
yeah, because
Atlantis, because we know from the comics.
that's always been a back and forth for comic fans since like the 40s, right? Like,
hmm
you
Even
know,
though Namor came
existed before
before
Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Yeah, exactly. But that's been a thing among nerds since the dawn of time. So
hmm
they did the smart thing, and I honestly think it was the smart thing not only because like it gets them away from just directly copy pasting Aquaman, but also, let's be
Makes
real here. Namor's been stale for over 50 years.
Yeah, and with this version of Namor, giving him a more ancient feel, like something that
it
is
it
so
makes
close to
it makes more sense in a way.
yeah.
Like, I know there's always the suspension of disbelief when it comes to comic book stuff, right? Because it's
No, we
fantastical.
see it all the time when it comes to reading comics.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, Namor just kind of existing for hundreds and hundreds of years in the comics. We just kind of chalk it up to, okay, that's whatever. But like, you actually gave him a legitimate reason, and like his origin story, not only like gives him motivation, but creates this new tapestry of mythology that just is so interesting. And
I love it.
yeah, and I wanna briefly kind of address an elephant in the room. I myself am of Mexican descent, right? And well, there's been this whole conversation online about Namor being problematic and a racist depiction of ancient cultures, blase, blase, blah. Now, look, I am not gonna be like, oh yeah, Wakanda Forever did an immaculate job. They were 100% historically accurate. This is definitely what a ancient Mesoamerican culture would be like. No, that is not the case. But look, man, it's Hollywood. All right. Like, they're not gonna get shit 100%. But there was real effort put in to actually make things feel like it would make sense for the world. This isn't. They weren't making a documentary of Namor's people, okay? This is a fictionalized account of a fictionalized tribe, alright? If they used an actual tribe that existed as the basis for Namor's people, then I could understand why people would get upset, right? But this isn't a real fucking tribe, bro. Like, relax.
And here's something that I want to add.
Uh-huh.
Now, I am white. I am someone who doesn't really have a leg to stand on when it comes to that particular conversation. Nor should I, with all intents and purposes. But what I can say, just from a motivational standpoint and cultural standpoint, Namor is played to be in the way. Okay, the best way I can explain it is Namor was shaped by the grief that was thrust upon him.
Yeah, for sure. And
with that,
how he dealt with his grief is like led to the person he became. Hundreds of years later.
And tangentially, also affected the way his culture and his people kind of function.
Yep.
And it's
and the theme of the messages you pass on to the next generation is another big thing that is carried throughout the film. And Namor is a big example of the negative end of that spectrum, which of course we'll talk about in a bit. But one thing I want to talk about with Namor before we get into spoilers and then our final non-spoiler thoughts is like I want to say, a lot of people also are like, well, why completely change Namor? Why not just make an original character? Look. Namor, I think it works so well. And here's the important part, you guys who have made this judgment before seeing the fucking movie or watch the movie and, just kind of look for something to get mad at. Bro, he's still a dick. He's still a villain. He is Namor. The personality is Namor. He does little, small, petty things all the time that are just so Namor. This isn't a spoiler because this has no bearing to the plot, but something I noticed while watching it. Every time Namor is walking around, he uses his little ankle wings to make himself hover just a little bit, so he's taller than everybody else in the room.
And think of it like this. He calls himself Imperious Rex for a fucking reason.
But it's for a reason and also for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, he does it because he is that arrogant. He calls himself the Empire King. Like, he is still a petulant, arrogant, petty bitch. Like, that is who he is to his core in the comic books, and that is who he is to his core in the MCU. However, in the MCU, he has an actual reason to be a dick. When you ask somebody why is Namor a dick in the comics, they just say, because he's Namor.
Because man hasn't been laid in like thousands of years.
Yep. So, that's usually like the answers you get from comic fans. So, for everybody who complained about Namor, do you even really care? I want to I want to ask that question genuinely. Are you legit a fan of Namor the Submariner? Because I'm gonna be real with you, I have not met an actual person in real life that is an honest to God like Namor the Submariner is my favorite Marvel character of all time. At least anyone under the age of 70. Old men, if you're offended by this because Namor was legit your favorite character way back in the day when you were a wee lad, I'm sorry, but get over it, cause it's a new time. We got to update.
Think of it like this, folks. The MCU doesn't have to do one-for-one interpretations of these comic book characters. They can, with inspiration from different aspects of the comics, can create the characters, because it's a separate universe entirely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what most comic fans have to really recognize. And it's a criticism with a lot of people making like these jumpy, it's not like the comics judgments. Like, Jay, you and I have talked about this like for years.
I know, like, dude,
MCU started.
Dude, we have been reading comics for like over 20 years now. And I'm not gatekeeping or trying to put my nerd cred on the table here, but like, you gotta understand, man, things change. And yeah, there are some changes you're not gonna like, and you have every right to complain about it. But like, dude, you gotta also give people an opportunity to see new versions of things. Just because it's not exactly how you remember doesn't mean it's bad. Now, if it's bad because the actual writing is bad, sure, go ahead. There we go. Art is subjective. Go ahead and complain about that part. But just because it is not exactly like you remember, they don't hit every beat that you love about something, that doesn't automatically make it shit, okay?
And to do the inverse of that statement, Jay, let's talk about a character that we, those who know this character, pretty much.
Let me. That was actually the last thing on my list for the spoiler-free section. I said Namor was the last, but I lied. The last thing is this character. So, anybody who is a longtime fan of the channel, and who is a longtime fan of me, right, from back in the day when I used to be Mr. J's Comic Reviews or Mr. J's Reviews back in the ye old days of the 2010s. Oh my goodness.
Oh God, college years. What the fuck?
But yeah, anybody who remembers me from back then knows that when this character came out, I hated this character. So much so that, like, my Twitter rants about said character got me blocked by the creator of this character.
And for those of you who know, as an Oregonian, I do not claim that man.
But yeah, of course the character I'm referring to is a Miss Riri Williams. And I will tell you why I hate Riri Williams as a character in the comics, because it has nothing to do with her character itself. It has to do with her lack of character, right?
There, cardboard, hell, fucking Doorman has more personality.
Like, okay, so in the comics, she does. She shows up. She's super smart. Makes a shitty Iron Man suit, and then gets the attention of Tony, and then kind of takes off. Now, my problem isn't the one that everybody cries on the internet that she's a Mary Sue, gets everything done. No, she actually fucks up. She's pretty terrible at it. My issue is she's hollow. She has no characterization. She has no supporting cast. And all her shit at least in her early days. I hear now it's improved because it's been put in the hands of different writers who actually have ideas and directions for her to go in, which good for her. But besides the point, in her earlier days, all her character was revolved around Tony. We never got any time devoted to her. Her whole thing was all about bringing Tony back, and her, like, even her AI was just hologram blue Tony. Whatever, like, it didn't give us any insight to her character. It didn't give me any reason to care, right? Like, the thing with Miles Morales, who could have easily been the same kind of character, ironically from the same creator. The reason Miles worked is because Miles had his parents to ground him. He had a strong supporting cast of, Ganke and, his parents, and even some of Peter's leftover cast. But they didn't focus on Peter with Miles. Like, they focused on fleshing out Miles and, like, their own personal dynamics with Miles as a character. That's why Miles works and Riri did not in the beginning. And also, let's be real here, that was an unfortunate choice of name for that character. Like, come on, dude. You know that nickname, that word is also often a shortening of another word that is very, very mean to say to people. So, why would you do that?
Oh, God.
But, yeah.
People... God damn it.
But, that's my Riri Williams... my Riri Williams rant has a purpose, I swear to you, because I have to say, this movie did what I thought was going to be impossible. They made me like Riri Williams.
Yeah. She actually has spunk.
It's not even just that she has spunk, because every MCU character is like snarky and quippy or whatever.
Oh, no. Here's my point. Why I said she has spunk. Because initially, Riri to me was a character who, like you described, Mary Sue, had very shallow motivations.
She's not really a Mary Sue. She's just a hollow character. Let me clarify that. I never called her a Mary Sue because she is not a Mary Sue. That completely misses the definition.
I misinterpreted that. My apologies. But
it's okay.
My point is that she never really came off as, forward thinking. She was so laser focused on, like you said, trying to get Tony back or this, that, and the other thing. But this Riri, she has her project. She has sentimentality. She has this connection with people. Hell, she, like, the first scene we see of her, she actually just...
she's hustling.
Uh-huh.
Like, I appreciate that. And also, I love what they did in this movie. So there is a super cringy, infamous line in one of Riri's comics. I think it was in her origin. I remember reading this and being like, "Oh my god, he actually wrote that. That got approved." So she's having a conversation with her professor, and she asks her professor to purposely tell her that she can't do it, so that she can have a tragic motivation of a teacher who didn't believe in her because she was black. She said that out loud. She said it out loud, and I was like, "What?
Uh-huh.
What?" But, like, in this, like, she's like, no, my teacher just didn't think I could do it, so I did it. Like, that was I was like, okay, see, that's how you do that kind of line without it being fucking cringe. Oh my goodness.
So, she also, she had good people to kind of bounce off of.
Yeah, and again, that's something she was missing in the comic book. She didn't really have a supporting cast. Here, she has not even that she has a supporting cast. She is part of the supporting cast. She is a supporting character. But she has Okoye, she has Queen Ramunda, she has Shuri, and all these other people of Wakanda to bounce off of, and how she's integrated feels very natural to the plot. Yes, she is a MacGuffin, which we'll get into more of, which kind of definitely like lessens her role in a way. But I feel like she was in it just enough to really get me to like her. I don't like absolutely love her character, but I'm definitely more than willing to check out her show now when it comes out.
And like I told you through our DMs, I actually like her as a character. She hit that sweet spot for me. Like, oh, I thought I was going to absolutely detest your character and make me fucking cringe, but no, you did good.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
impressed.
I thought she was absolutely fantastic. Like for the small role she was given, I think it definitely did its job of selling this character. Honestly, more so than America Chavez in Multiverse of Madness, who is also a teen MacGuffin character.
Yeah, and here's something crazy to me. We could talk about it more in the spoilery part a
Yep.
little bit here, or I think those two are diametric opposites of each other.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And here's the reason why I said that. America in the comics, she has a presence. She has
Yeah.
a strong personality.
Yeah,
But
the thing with, and my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I get where you're going with this. I feel like America in the MCU is a passive character, which isn't as interesting, whereas Riri actually actively participated in the plot. America kind of just fumbled around and was like, I don't know what to do! Steve, help!
yeah, and I like the difference in terms of I just find an interesting parallel. They took a more proactive and strong character in the comics into a more reactive character
Yeah.
in the MCU, and turning
A more reactive character into a more active character. Yeah, that is a really interesting kind of odd parallel.
And here's the crazy thing, with Riri being reactive in the comics and proactive in the film, because think of it like this, Jay. Riri was a huge factor into figuring out a lot of small things here and there.
Yep.
To help out in the climax. So she had a little bit more to say in her own destiny rather than what America in Multiverse of Madness had to go through.
For sure, yeah.
So those two characters are very similar in their
and they both end in similar spots, but honestly, I'm much more interested to see where Riri goes than America.
And that's the point I'm trying to make here. Because think of it like this. Who would be the character that you want to follow the story of? The more reactionary character trying to learn to be more proactive, or the proactive character who is comfortable with themselves and is willing to actually be that person and not be reactionary?
Oh yeah, no, I totally feel that. I totally feel that. I hope you guys are strapped in because this is gonna be a long one. I'm looking at the recording time and we're already going 30 minutes, and I'm not really gonna edit this down because I want to keep all our thoughts in. So I hope you have a snack, a nice drink, and Tony, this is probably gonna take forever to up.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus! I am looking forward to just sitting at my laptop, just waiting for things to process.
But yeah, so now let me do us a favor. I'm going to hit the spoiler alert sound and give you guys a quick warning. First off, rip headphone users, and we are about to sail into spoilery waters. So brace yourselves. Hit the button.
Because.
All right.
In a few years.
So if you haven't seen the movie, please, one last time,
Go
leave.
do it.
Go watch it. It's great. Also, if you've seen the movie, definitely tell us your thoughts and feels in the comments down below, as always. So, yeah.
And also, to do the simple YouTuber stuff.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to like smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you get more notifications on uploads we have here on the channel. As you can see, I'm trying to be more active on the YouTube channel nowadays, because I just feel the itch to get back in the game. Like,
subscribe to my man. He does this for the fun and also just to entertain you guys.
Yep.
And I help out this guy. He's been my buddy. And I'm his ride or die friend.
All right,
like
but
many ride or die friends.
But yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. First thing I want to talk about is going back to Angela Bassett, or Queen Ramonda. Oh my God, I didn't see that shit coming, dude. What the fuck? They killed her.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh man,
know your fucking place. Trash.
Look, the original script had her passing too.
Yep.
So it was something that there was intention, but I just felt for Shuri at that moment. I felt like, oh God.
Oh man, yeah.
My heart, and the parallel I wanted to make is a strong ruling woman, ultimately passing, but different circumstances. But due to some shenanigans, they're very similar. The passing of Queen Elizabeth and Ramonda have similar weight to them.
Oh yeah.
And
I can totally feel that. So here's just the crazy thing, man. Like, I just, like you were saying, Shuri, Jesus, like, this poor girl, this poor woman. Let me rephrase that, because she, as M'Baku said, the world has done too much to her for me to call her a girl anymore. This poor woman.
Yeah,
she lost her brother. She lost her. Let's start at the beginning of the timeline. Her father was murdered. Her father was murdered, which propels her brother into the spotlight. Then her brother dies of an illness that she herself cannot cure, despite all her gifts and talents. Which, this is also just another interesting theme that I couldn't really talk about in the spoiler-free section. This is for lack of a better term, Shuri's coming to Jesus journey, or I guess coming to best in the context of being a Wakandan.
Okay, so I see where you're going with this, but for me to just piggyback off of that, Shuri is one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe, and with her, she has this struggle of believing in the old ways of Wakandan culture. She is so influenced by her own intelligence and the advancement of technology.
Yep.
She does have this moment, this kind of mindset that if I just worked faster, if I really pushed my gifts to the absolute limit, maybe I could have done some good. Maybe I could have saved my brother.
What I was more saying was whereas T'Challa and Ramonda, they fully embraced all the traditions and the rituals and the magic parts of Wakanda, right? Actually, praying to and worshiping Bast, everything with the heart-shaped herb, and all the different ceremonies and different things like that. They both were very staunch and respectful of tradition. Whereas very much like Tony Stark, Shuri is a futurist, and she doesn't really believe in the mystic. She doesn't believe in the supernatural or the existence of things that are connected strictly to faith that are unprovable by scientific means, because that's just how her brain operates. And in this movie, she not only grew stronger in her resolve as a person, but she grew stronger in her connection to her people and her connection to her faith. She realized that the ancestral plane is real. I do have a connection to those who I have lost. Death is not the end. And that was just a very powerful thing all throughout. Even if I was like, oh, they're doing Lion King again with Black Panther.
Yep. Here's something that I just what really came home to me is the idea of just a prayer falling on deaf ears.
Yep.
And that's kind of the whole thing that Shuri experienced.
Yeah, because that was the last thing she did. She prayed to Bast before, and then right after that, his heartbeat goes to 0, and it's just like, well, yeah, nope. If Bast was T'Challa's #1 champion, and he, stood for her and represented her, and praised her all the time, and yet someone who showed that much devotion just gets tossed aside like that in Shuri's mind. Yeah, no, fuck that. No, that must mean Bast doesn't exist. Nah, forget that. And that's really huge. It's something that she tackles all throughout, and something that is a huge turning point. Which I gotta say, I did not know this was happening, because I didn't look into any spoilers. I didn't go searching for anything about this movie beforehand. I wanted to go in relatively blind. I knew who the next Black Panther was going to be because I saw the second trailer, and also I read the comic, so I knew who this next Black Panther was going to be. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I didn't know that I was legit like, oh shit, was after she creates the synthetic heart-shaped herb and she does the ritual, or at least her version of the ritual, her guardian spirit that guides her through the ancestral plane, the member of her family that she sees, isn't T'Challa, it isn't Ramonda, it isn't T'Chaka, it's fucking N'Jaka! It's Michael B. Jordan! Holy shit! What? Killmonger, bro! What?
Well, think of it like this. There was a throwaway line that Shuri said. A point in the film where Ramonda and her
on the fire, I thought about just watching the world burn, and some people might think, oh, that comes out of nowhere. It's weird. Let me tell you something. I am an avid Black Panther fan. I have read a lot of Black Panther stories, most of the stuff that's out, right? And here's something a lot of people don't know about Shuri. If you've never seen Shuri outside of the MCU. Shuri is a bloodthirsty person. Shuri is all about the smoke. She's just, when they fought against Doctor Doom, all throughout, Shuri was like, I'm gonna murder him. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna fucking kill him. And then the only reason she doesn't is because, wait a minute, I'm a head of state, you're a head of state. If I kill you, this is just gonna really look bad. So you know what? No, I'm just gonna humiliate you. I'm gonna make sure people know that the Great Doom lost to a little girl.
And also, your dong's small.
But yeah, man, Shuri actually got to evolve into that character that she is in the comics, the very vengeful, bloodthirsty character. And I'm not saying Shuri is a let's kill them all the time, Punisher style type, right? But Shuri very much reminds me a lot of what Wonder Woman is in the comics, and honestly, even in the DCU, the movies, where Wonder Woman is very much a champion of love and compassion. However, when things get down to it, and a threat is big enough, Wonder Woman ain't afraid to chop somebody's head off.
Yeah, Diana will get her fucking hands dirty. I mean, she fucking snapped Maxwell Lord's neck, for Christ's sake.
Yep. So, but yeah,
They're like, here's another thing that I just want to point out here, right? Shuri also, to give it this is going to be an interesting comparison, but just work with me with this.
All right.
She is Bastet.
Yep.
She is the lioness-headed goddess created from Ra to be the representation of war and bloodlust. Shuri embodies that quite a bit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And in myth, Bastet was calmed, or I think it was Sekhmet. Regardless, point being, lioness-headed goddess, bloodthirsty warrior goddess.
But yeah,
she tore through people like they were butter. And Ra tried to calm her down because she was born from his own rage of not being prayed enough, getting enough prayers and whatnot. They had to pretty much invent alcohol to calm her down so she can just like chill.
But yeah, I think that with Shuri, right? Like,
yeah, but here's the comparison I'm trying to make. The tempering of what that Shuri needed, especially in the final fight with Namor, is that her tempering was not something physical. It was metaphysical. It was her mother talking to her to show the world, show Namor who she is as a person.
She literally pulled a Mufasa from the Lion King. Which,
exactly. Yeah.
Remember, Simba. Remember who you are.
And that's the whole reason why I want to bring up that mythological comparison.
Oh yeah.
From grief, albeit it's not 100% comparison, but Shuri's journey is the journey of this lioness-headed goddess. She was pushed, or in the goddess's case, created to do a purpose. That purpose, in Shuri's case, ultimately failed on the first go, and then she was just consumed by this grief, by this lack of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned her into the person that she was throughout the film. And then, during a pivotal moment where final blows would have been struck, what does Shuri do?
Yep, she asked him to yield. She stops. She's like, "All right, look, I could kill you, but if you yield, your people will live, and we can stop this right here. Wakanda will protect your oceans, protect your people, keep your secret, but you have to yield." And this helps me transition into another thing that I love about this movie. One, they didn't kill Namor. I was so scared that Namor was going to die because Marvel has a habit of killing off their villains.
I had those same fears, but I was like,
nah,
they wouldn't kill like one of the oldest mutants in the MCU.
By the way, they mentioned that. They did say it.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah. But I was super scared they were gonna kill Namor. But the thing I want to really focus on is the final scene we have with Namor, because they also don't do the thing where Namor backpedals and goes for a redemption arc. No, Namor doubles down. Namor doubles the fuck down because his daughter Namora is like, "Father, what the fuck? You're gonna yield to the Wakandans?"
Isn't Namora like his sister in the comics?
She's his sister in the comics, but yeah, his daughter here. He said my child, so.
I don't. Well, I think they never really specified the kind of relationship that they had.
I mean, he said my child. I realize I realize he calls like a lot of the citizens that, but I don't know. It just seems more of an actual thing with them.
Yeah, and oh my god, but culturally, and also
plus, I feel like if Namora was his sister, like he would have more of a support group, and like he'd have somebody when he lost his mother. If Namora was his sister,
yeah, you're right. That makes sense. But having it like a like nebulous, like wife or daughter, what have you.
But yeah, but the conversation where Namora was just like, "Yo, Lord Namor, what the fuck? Why are you bowing down to the Wakandans? What? I can't even believe you would do something like this." And he goes, "Oh, don't worry, my child. One day, the world will come for Wakanda, and they're gonna need us. So, when that day inevitably comes, this alliance will make Talokan the strongest nation in the world. And when that day comes, we will have our revenge." And I'm just like, there it is! That's the boy! He still wants to take over the fucking world.
And also, think of it like this. He got humiliated.
Also, can I just say, going back to Killmonger for a second,
Mm-hmm.
I am really happy that he doubled down there too. Like, I was so scared when he showed up that he was gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I've taken my time in the spirit world and I've reflected. I'm a changed man now."
Nah.
No, he was like, "Hey yo, what up, little cousin? Yeah, you want to kill them all? Bet, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Let's fucking."
I did what I had to do in order for Wakanda to survive.
And he goes, I can see it in your eyes. You want to do it too. You know, your brother was too noble. Your dad was a hypocrite. You have to take care of business. And Shuri took care of fucking business.
Oh, she did. But she did it in her own way.
Yeah.
Because also, think of it like this. Namor is also... Well, it's kind of interesting looking at the two antagonists of both of these films, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Killmonger, who is a lost child of Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
And due to circumstances that his uncle set into motion, like the killing of his father and all this stuff, T'Chaka created Killmonger as he is.
Yep.
And that resentful bitterness just consumed that man.
Yep.
And much like how grief consumed what Namor did.
Yep, because that grief without being addressed just turned into pure unadulterated hatred. And, as cringy as it was, I actually really like the origin of the name Namor. I don't like how the scene was executed.
No, think of it. But the point I'm trying to make here, Jay, is there's an interesting small theme between these antagonists.
Oh yeah.
It's the overwhelming power of their own emotions and how they processed a lot of things.
And you know, the whole key for both protagonists to overcome is to find that middle ground, right? Like to get that balance.
Yeah. So let's look. This is actually a little fun game.
All right.
Well, I wouldn't really say it's a game, but it's a nice little like conversation. So take T'Challa and Killmonger.
All right.
I'm gonna say his Wakandan name because I'll get canceled.
I mean, well, why? It's just N'Jaka, not.
Well, I'm not gonna risk it, Jay. Remember, I am white.
I mean, it's just a name tone. It doesn't actually sound like the N-word. You're fine.
Okay, N'Jaka. Okay. So, T'Challa and N'Jaka. What was the difference between these two men?
Well, what one was, more noble and like focused on honor. The other was more consumed by a need for vengeance and retribution. But more so, honestly, I think deep down, he just wanted to be seen.
Okay.
And recognized.
Perfect. And that's a perfect comparison between these two characters. Now, let's take Kotal Khan and Shuri.
Yep. So, with Shuri's whole thing is she feels powerless and she herself is, very consumed by grief. But eventually, she realizes that, you don't need to. It's not about just keep moving forward. It's about understanding your past, understanding where you are, and embracing all of it. You have to embrace all of yourself in order to properly move forward. Whereas Namor, he was all about, just being lost in his grief for so long that he didn't really have much hope, and little hope he had in finally finding like a kindred spirit in Shuri and a kindred home in Wakanda. Like he's like, oh, maybe this is my chance. Maybe it's someone who can finally understand me. And when he felt that he was betrayed, he was like, all right, I was right. But it basically confirmed his own bias, and he's like, well, the only way to move forward is to attack. I was right to hate. And that's kind of that's what happened with Namor. And it's just go ahead.
Now let's take Namor and Killmonger.
Mm-hmm.
What makes them different from the two of them?
Well, I mean, honestly, both are actually pretty successful in their goals.
So that's the same thing.
Yep.
Well, what is the one thing that they share in common?
Definitely just a kind of lust for retribution in one way or another. Like,
and I think that's the theme for all of the antagonists of these two films, and I think that's kind of an overall theme that I just kind of caught on to. Conversation.
No, it was. I mean, it was totally prevalent. I mean, all throughout the movie talks about, why people on the outside don't deserve what Wakanda has, and we see that in the very beginning with the Senate hearing and different things like that. Totally get that.
The Senate hearing. It was a UN meeting.
Oh yeah, UN. Yeah, it was a UN meeting. My bad.
And also, let me tell you, when
that French lady had some major egg on her face. I love Okoye just like, you're welcome in French.
Yeah, merci beaucoup.
Yep.
Like, oh my god.
That was
awesome.
It's
good to see Martin Freeman as Agent Ross.
Which I gotta say, I kept getting so confused at first because like it had been so long since I saw the first Black Panther movie. I forgot what Martin Freeman's character's name was. So when they kept saying Ross, I kept looking for Harrison Ford. I was like, Ross? Where's Ross? I don't see Ross.
Nah, it's the liaison.
Yeah, I know his name is Everett Ross, but at first, because it'd been so long since I'd seen the first Black Panther. And, like, he didn't really do much. I was like, Ross? The only Ross I know from Marvel is Thunderbolt. So I was like, Ross?
That's not Harrison Ford.
Where's he at? And I'm like, oh, Martin Freeman's name is Everett Ross.
Yeah. I had that moment, too, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
But I realized that, like,
Also, apparently, Ross and the Contessa banged or were married.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
All right, weird flex, but okay.
I mean, and also, she's fucking petty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so she got our man arrested.
I mean, to be fair,
He
to
did.
be fair, he
did
within the circumstances, and because they still haven't said shit about Atlantis, as far as the world knows.
No. Talukan.
Yeah, my bad. I want to call it Atlantis. Yeah, the world hasn't said shit about Namor and his people, or Wakanda doesn't say shit about Namor and his people. So as far as the world knows, the Wakandans did committed a terrorist attack, and Ross directly conspired with them. So honestly, he technically should be in jail.
Yeah, technically yes, but fuck it. Oh, but her line at the end of like rescuing his ass.
Yep. Oh yeah,
just see a colonizer in shades. Now I've seen everything.
That was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. That was really funny. But yeah, the last thing I want to bring up before we wrap up, because this is almost at an hour now. Jesus Christ.
Good lord.
But I'm gonna have to change this from review to discussion, because this is just straight up just discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's review and discussion.
But the last thing I want to bring up is I really love how Talukan was brought up as a dark mirror to Wakanda, and you know what? Honestly, I'm not mad if Black Panther snipes this one from the FF, because Black Panther does not have an extensive rogues gallery, so giving Black Panther Namor as her arch nemesis is fine. I'm here for this.
I'm okay with that. It's like also Jay, having another vibranium rich civilization makes it kind of interesting to see two isolated superpower nations.
Yep.
Being kind of a pseudo Cold War-esque mentality towards each other.
I also just really like I mean, that's not to say that Namor should not still interact with the FF, because I joked about it with Tony, and I'll say it here. Namor 100% looks like the Mr. Studio Girl type. Reed needs to watch his ass, buddy.
Like I told you, Jay, man fucks.
Yeah, Reed needs to watch his ass, buddy. Man, Sue gets a load of Namor, buddy. It's out of here.
Over. Fucking done.
She will not need a siren song to go into that water, let me tell you. Which, by the way, that shit was so cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I like that they kind of played around with different sea creatures.
Also, they had battle whales. Well, I thought Wakanda was cool with their battle rhinos. They have battle whales, bro. What?
Yeah, whales.
Holy shit.
Like, they had blue whales. They had orcas. They
had killer whales.
Turtle shells, my guy.
Oh my god, this shit, like, their technology was super cool. I love their cultural aesthetic.
Okay, I have a couple things. One, and I'll do these really rapid fire. I think the second one we could just leave for people's imagination.
Yep.
Like the mid-credit scene. Totally see it. Go do it now for that. Because it makes you like, oh, it warms your heart and it will make you cry.
It warms your heart and breaks it at the same time. It's just like,
it does both. It's weird, but it's amazing. But Atuma has never been so intimidating.
Atuma was actually scary. I always laugh at Atuma. I always laugh whenever Atuma shows up, because Atuma just looks so silly.
But then in the MCU, this man fucking dislocated Okoye's fucking arm.
He's a real threat. He's a real presence. And like again, we didn't. I want to touch on this real quick. Like M'Baku, taking the role as king is huge.
Yeah.
Like, because I think it makes sense. Because yes, you know, traditionally the Black Panther is also the ruler of Wakanda, right? However, that's just not how Shuri rolls.
And also,
one, I don't think Shuri is ready to lead just yet. She's still grieving, I think, personally.
Yeah, and also having M'Baku as someone who will hold the throne for her, someone that she trusts above all else, makes sense for her. But she still can be the Black Panther, the protector of Wakanda.
And also, that's something that I enjoy, because, like I said, it's not like a Bran Stark situation, right? We got instances all throughout this movie that showed a lot of M'Baku's positive traits as a king. When they evacuated to the Jabari lands, M'Baku was the one handling the refugees, delegating everything. In the council meetings, M'Baku was the only person, when everybody was like, yep, let's murder the fish man, M'Baku was like, wait a second. Did y'all hear what they called him? They didn't call him Namor. They called him they called him Kotal Khan. It's like, do you know what Kotal Khan is? It's like, no, what? He is the serpent god. They think he's a god. If we kill him, it's not going to demoralize them. It's going to give them more fervor. So let's not do that.
We also see a bit of that in the first film too. So it's a good character progression. We are reminded every single time.
Yeah, and so like I'm not mad at M'Baku being king. I think honestly that's a really good move. I wanted to just quickly address that. Winston Duke, you're amazing, and I love seeing all your commercials. I'm always getting your fucking Google Chromebook commercials.
The man's fucking commercials are amazing.
But yeah,
they be saying like, "Yo, you read the script?" And like, "Oh yeah, these."
It was beautiful, and the explosions are amazing. I love it, yeah. But my goodness,
gaming? Yeah. But also, like I said, also we gotta give M'Baku props. He survived a fucking punch from.
I thought he was gonna die. I thought that showed his chest caving in. I thought that was his chest, not his armor. I was like, oh my god, did they just kill M'Baku? Don't tell me they killed M'Baku.
And we see the man just kind of wake back up a little.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, thank God.
I was so scared. Cause he got yeeted.
Like, and also, like we kind of explained it before, I liked how they figured out a way to defeat Namor.
Yeah, and also I love that Namor was just a huge threat. Like, Shuri just couldn't beat him just by getting good, right? Shuri still was fucking up. She had to severely nerf Namor to beat his ass.
And also, kind of leads to an interesting interpretation of Namor now that I think about it. Look, now follow my train of thought here, Jay.
All right.
He's called Kotal Khan, either named after the god or an avatar of the god. And since he is the most unique of the
Tolokani, I guess.
Tolokani, yeah. He is the most unique of them. You know, retaining his normal skin, but having the pointy ears in the winged feet.
Yep.
He
Also, I gotta say, I'm really glad they actually used the winged feet. Like, he was flying around and shit, and he got to be like a real major air threat. Like, okay, cool. They didn't. Just because the winged feet are kind of a dumb concept doesn't mean that they don't get to use them. Okay, good. They used the winged feet.
And also, he's fucking fast with them things, man.
Yep. He was zooming around. It was crazy.
No, also, look, it may seem stupid, but the moment I knew I did not want to fuck with that man is when he ascended from his to his throne. I was like, yeah, nah.
I mean,
fighting that man.
I mean, that was definitely a moment where a lot of people were like, I would like to fuck Namor.
Yeah. That is something that you and I both agree it will happen. But to fight that man, like, for those of you who don't know, I have a tendency to want to fight cryptids or anything vaguely supernatural, right?
Okay.
Like, Jay, remember all my hype trying to fight Mothman?
Yep. But yeah, the point is, no one wants to fuck with Namor, except for maybe Sue. Yeah. Sue would totally fuck with Namor.
It's like, in any position that he has learned in his many years.
But yeah, overall, love the movie. I think the new mythos for Namor is amazing. We've been going on for a long ass time. We're gonna go even longer for the podcast. So if you want even more depth, tune in next Friday for the Channel Chasers podcast over on my Twitch channel. That is twitch.tv/MrJVT. Link in the description down below. Next Friday around 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. PST, we are going to be doing a live episode of the Channel Chasers podcast where myself, Tony, and our boy Brian will be discussing Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever in even more depth. We're going to obviously touch on very much similar points that we talked about here, but we're going to talk about even more stuff now that we have our boy Brian with us. But
and also, let's think of it this way here, Jay. You know what's crazy?
What?
You know, here's something wild, right? And I'm sure Brian watches the videos too, so we should probably save our reviews, but I'm just gonna send you my rating. And you just send me yours.
Okay. Gotcha.
So all I'm saying, if we both score a bit higher than Brian, I will laugh my ass off.
Oh yeah. I'll send you after we finish recording. But yeah, no, I absolutely love the movie. I totally say it is worth a watch. This is the first time since Spider-Man No Way Home where I have left a new MCU movie and said, "Damn, I was satisfied. I cannot wait to see what happens next."
Yeah.
And Multiverse of Madness was Multiverse of Madness, and I hated Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh, I have not seen Thor: Love and Thunder.
You don't need to.
Oh.
You really don't need to. But
well, I plan on seeing.
It's on Disney. It's on Disney Plus now, so you can watch it if you want to, but you don't need to.
Yeah. You know what? I've seen enough to get a good understanding of it, so it is what it is. But I do want to see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oh yeah, and that's something that I will say. I hope this is a positive trend for the MCU, because I think the issue, at least real quick, and I'll bring this up in more depth in the podcast, but I think the issue with Phase 4 overall is that the other movies, aside from Spider-Man No Way Home and this one, didn't really have a direction. They were just kind of doing things. This had a clear story that they wanted to tell, beginning, middle, and end, and they did it. It was great. There was focus.
Also, let's throw in the Disney Plus shows too. A lot of them didn't tell a story, or if they did, it wasn't it was either good or just kind of
just all right,
offensive, or oh sweet baby Jesus, what fucking crack were you smoking?
Yep.
If you know, you know.
Yep. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. Totally recommend seeing it. But yeah, we are going to do a even more in-depth, 3-hour discussion over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MrJVT. Next Friday at 9 p.m. EST. So definitely tune in for that. Give us your thoughts on Black Panther live. We'll be talking about it. And of course, you can listen to it on the go once it's distributed on all your favorite podcast platforms. So definitely look forward to that. Thank you, as always, for being on, Tony. And thank you for uploading this video in advance. It's gonna take a while. Because we are running high on time here. But yeah.
Like, look, man. I tried to be as concise as possible, but you know.
Yeah. There was a lot of shit with this movie. I totally understand not being as concise this time, but we got to tighten it up for the podcast for sure.
Yeah, I at least when I'm on more of a time crunch, and I can actually process all my thoughts. But this is like the night after we just saw the film.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of hype, but yeah. So. I hope you guys enjoyed. We will see you guys next time. And, of course, this is Mr. JVT. It's time for me to set sail. We'll catch you guys later. And Wakanda forever. Peace.
Wakanda forever.